Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew. I'm going right into the show.
There we are indeed. Thank you for that. You caught me off guard. I thought we were going to talk a little Hydrolite before we do. We mention our friends at Hydrolite. Don't forget their products, the easy to dissolve powder. This is a hydration product that I stand by. It's something I wish I had invented. There it is. Use
Go to
code.
drdrew.com/hydrolite and use the code drdrew25.
I keep saying it's something I wish I had invented because it seemed very doable to me. We have all these, IV therapies, but you really do use your enteral system to do the same thing. And thus, Hydrolite got there before me, so I stand behind them. Tyrus, welcome, buddy.
How are you, Doc?
I'm good. Sorry we're a little late today. We had some technical issues, and I was involved with Andy Dick for an hour before that, too. We appreciate you guys all piling in on the chat. I'm watching you come on in here. And you were saying, Tyrus, as we were sort of chatting off the air, we're going to take some calls, too. I want to shout out to people that we're going to be at 984-237-3739. It's 984-237-3739. You were saying it's been a rough day.
Yeah, it's been a rough day all the way around. Of course, I'm in New Orleans, so I'm dealing with the hurricane situation that we had.
And we don't know really what the reality is up, 3,000 miles away. What's going on?
Generally people here are kind of used to it and dealing with it. We make our precautions and, preps and all that kind of stuff. But what's frustrating to me is getting accurate information from the media.
Yeah.
Because the first one was coming and it was hitting landfall and was confirmed and was all these crazy, front headline pages, 2 hurricanes hitting the New Orleans, Texas, Florida area. We don't know which one is going to hit.
And the panic porn had to take it to another level. What I read, I read 2 other reports. One report was they're just getting COVID under control and people are going to go into these what do they call them? It's sanctuaries, and it's going to spread like wildfire. Then the next panic porn was there's an unsurvivable surge coming. Unsurvivable surge. For God's sakes. For God's sakes.
I mean, it's just, you cannot, and it sucks because I work in media, more on the entertainment side, but still I do pass information. And even though my own opinions and thought process, I generally research everything. I just don't talk off the top of my head. I don't spout off stuff without information. I might have a different feeling about the information, or I might present it in a way that I feel and think, but the general idea is to back up everything I'm saying with some form of fact or information. Just saying things to get shock value, to get attention, I find it really irresponsible on any level, whether you're a political comedian or if you're bringing in the news. If Walter Cronkite would give the news and then he would just spout things off and say things for attention, he wouldn't have been a newscast. He would have been a newsman.
So when you think of when New Orleans gets hit by really bad hurricane, what is the wind velocity typically? And then I'm going to tell you what they're predicting the winds are going to be here.
I mean, we could have them up to 100 miles. I mean, Ingrid is a veteran. She went through Katrina. She's been preparing. She's always preparing. Ingrid, what do you say the average wind goes up to like 100 miles an hour or something like that? 160 right now is what we're being told.
So here is the NOLA.com, New Orleans website.
Yeah.
They're expecting winds of 39 to 57 miles per hour and up to 3 inches of rain. There you go. That seems to be does that sound like you should be running, screaming into the inland region?
Well, because they're basically saying that it's going to be worse than Katrina. Severely dangerous. Yeah. One more time. What was
this? Now I don't know whether to believe this either. This is how screwed up the press is now.
It's somewhere in the middle.
Wind of 15.
They have wind of 15.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. 39 to 57. Possibly,
39 to 57.
Especially Wednesday night, tonight. And up to 3 inches of rain. I don't know where this unsurvivable surge is coming in, but it doesn't seem to be New Orleans.
No, I know Houston is the one that's in major peril.
That was 8 hours ago. And there are 2 storms, right?
Yeah. Well, the one storm happened and it just kind of fizzled out.
Oh my God! Now, if you're in this part of the country, you think there's 2 storms going to punch New Orleans twice. They're not going to be able to make it through. I mean, I can't stand the press anymore, Tyrus. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
This was they got addicted to the panic porn during COVID, and they cannot let go. And
because
somehow
the real city that's in trouble is like Lake Charles is directly in line in the past, Lake Charles, Louisiana, and they need vital information. They need to know exactly what's going on, what's happening, and I just don't see it in the media anymore.
Right.
Where the ratings are just so much more important than the facts and the truth.
Yeah,
and we treat them all the same because they're all the information is given us the same.
Yes.
You can't underprepare. You can't, the old story of cry wolf. Well, you can't play around with the hurricane or coronavirus or whatever the danger is when they say it's code orange.
Yep.
You have a responsibility to your family and your friends and the people that support you to treat the information as such.
And they're telling us here in Los Angeles, by the way, as it pertains to COVID, we have a terrorism scale that they use to tell us how COVID is doing.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
And we are code orange. We are code orange in spite of the daily testing rate dropping, the daily positive rate dropping dramatically from 4,000 today to 989. Death rate, hospitalization rate, just falling out of bed precipitously. We're at orange.
Which is great.
We're at orange.
We should be feeling good about. Yeah.
We should be celebrating.
I just, and it's hard because then it opens the door for not the overprepared, but the group of people who say things, well, you don't need masks and you don't need to wash your hands.
Well, that's the problem.
Fine,
See, when they overstate, now that I've moved around the country a little bit, I can tell you that there are parts of the country where they're fastidiously wearing masks, but when the government overstates the risk, they kind of push back and go, oh, screw it, I'm not doing anything. They don't want to listen because of the hypocrisy of the government. It's rough.
And it's frustrating. And then on top of that, you have the situation in Wisconsin. And
let's talk about that. What do you think?
I watched that. I've watched that video. I didn't want to watch it. I didn't want to believe it. It's just gotten to the point where you're just like, you just can't believe that this stuff, that no one has figured out another way at this point, where there's so much attention on what happened with George Floyd, with the country is basically protesting everywhere. There's awareness. People are talking about it. You always use the word woke. America has woken up to start looking at alternatives to where, when you say Black Lives Matter, it's no more and no less, which means equality. That's what the real message is supposed to be. And of course it gets twisted and means other things. And it leads to, and then you get other groups of all life matters and blue life matters and all these counter things instead of just recognizing that a group is saying they don't feel equal and they want to have the same rights. But we can't do that because there's too much money to be made with opposition and only putting the extremes of both groups on the TV, and then now we have another situation in Wisconsin where we shot somebody, the man Blake was shot in the back 7 times at point blank range. And where's the stun gun? Where's the commands? It's hard for me to sit there and look at that as a Black man. How is that any of that okay? And with what is going on in this country right now, how the police officers couldn't have thought about another way. I understand being fearful for your life, but you could back up. There was a million things they could have done.
You would think, right? Again, we're not in law enforcement, but it just seems it makes sense. I mean, especially in today's climate. I mean, why would they do that? Why wouldn't they get their taser out right away?
Even if you had to take the billy club, hit him in the back of his legs, he still can come back from that.
But maybe that's what they were afraid of. Maybe they're thinking about those things in the videos and what that would look like, and they weren't doing the things they would normally do earlier.
And that's the problem. So you're afraid you're going to get. And again, it's a crazy situation. You have family and children everywhere. You have family members everywhere, and you only had 2 police officers. And honestly, I would have called for backup immediately. Why even with the given climate as a police officer, you have a target on your back. Why even put yourself in that situation? And now we have a man. And again, we got riots in the streets again, which leads to the opportunists, the looters come out. And then, and the result of that, we had a shooting.
Oh, there are
we
people.
Have a kid walking around.
I guess I didn't. Yeah, they'll talk about the shooting in a second. But the restream, the chat room, if you would put it up, Susan, is alerting us the fact that apparently they did tase the guy, but it failed, which is interesting. And again, we don't know what they were all fighting and struggling about, if it was chicken ass or not. But go ahead. So then now we have violence in the streets, right?
Yeah. The video I saw, I didn't see tasers on his back or anything like that. So,
well, that was that was they were struggling on the grass on the other side of the car before.
Yeah, I saw
maybe
that.
Maybe there's some tasing then or something, but
yeah.
Crazy. And then you mentioned this the people being shot in the streets.
Yeah.
What do we do with that?
Well, and then you get the reports that, and again, I don't have enough information on the shooting as far as making a decision. But again, headlines tend to not actually mirror what's going on. But basically, he was walking the streets with a semi-automatic. He had a gun. I don't care what kind of gun it is. He had a gun. And apparently the police were aware of it. I guess he walked by him or something like that, and then got into I saw the video where people were running at him because he had a gun and they were trying to take the gun away from him, and then he shot him. So,
well, and this is, and really, when you really look at the one of the tragedies is police standing down, right? I mean, the police should not be standing down. They should be doing their job.
And in the same token, good cops, what do you do? I mean, they want to defund the police, which is literally, it goes back to my whole point. The solutions are worse than the issues. There'll be more loss of life. There'll be more domestic abuse. There'll be more rape. There'll be more murder. There'll be more racism. There'll be more hate crimes with no police present. When you defund the police and you don't want any more police and you think that's going to solve your problems, it's not. And two, women and children have just become more in danger than anyone because, unfortunately, men can be dangerous, monstrous individuals, and women have their own issues. But I'm just saying, in general, when you look at predominance of physical attacks and abuse and rape and assault, it's typically at the hands of a man without a police presence. But when you make that 911 call and it's basically taken in order of necessity. And if you're the seventh rape that night and what little forces they have out already, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's hard for them to do at full strength to keep people safe. It just doesn't make sense to me. You need to find ways to train better. You need to get bad apples out, not allow them to go down the street and get a new job, to go from being a cop to a sheriff. There's things that to be put in place. We always talk about that qualified immunity.
Yep.
Making police chiefs responsible, politicians responsible, and they'll clean up their acts and reward-based pay on the police officers who are doing their job because it's an impossible job. It's a difficult job. Making sure there's health and human services that are there for them when they're having mental issues, when they're dealing with breakdown or fatigue. Make sure they get time off, and there's a million other things we could be doing to fix this, but we're answering a violence with an aggressive reaction, and we just end up, the ones who really get hurt are the ones we need the most, which is the good cops.
Let's try to take a couple calls here and see what we got.
We had a screener, but she forgot.
Oh.
Yeah, the first call looks
You told me to change cameras when I do a call.
Oh, sorry.
You cannot give me directions like that and then
all right, he's
not
changing
follow.
cameras there. Look at that. Look
All
at
right,
that.
here we go. This is Julie, is that right? Julie?
Let's hope it comes through on the
Is
sound.
that you?
Wait, let me in.
Yeah.
Hi, Julie.
Hey, Drew and Sue and Tyrus.
Oh, thank God I can hear her.
Hello.
What's happening?
Hey, you live.
You
Love you
live.
all. Long time first time. Can't believe I'm talking to you.
Here we are.
My husband's teaching Bible study, and I'm at home watching my daily dose with you guys. And I take Klonopin, and I hate that I do, but I usually take it about 3 milligrams a week, about 3 times a week.
Okay.
And I'm just curious, am I considered a traditional user? Not a traditional, I can't think of the word,
Are you an addict? Are you strung out?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Are you an addict or are you strung out? Is that the question?
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm wondering if I'm an addict,
No,
you know?
No. You would have escalated it. You would not be skipping days. You may have that potential. I don't know, but you clearly are not strung out on this stuff. What you want to try to do is to get down to 0.5 milligram. And if you're doing 0.5 milligram 3 times a week, you can occasionally do 1 milligram and get away with it. But I worry at 1 milligram, you may actually be making your anxiety worse. Like the day after, the days you're skipping, you can get sort of a rebound anxiety. But that doesn't typically happen at 0.5 milligram. So see if you can get down to 1/2 of that.
So I'm taking 3 milligrams 3 times a week.
Oh, I thought you said 3 milligrams a week. Oh, that's a lot. What happens in the days when you don't take it?
I'm cool. I'm fine.
Tyrus is laughing. What's funny?
I just usually take it. Yeah, I usually take it when it's time to be intimate.
Well, do you have sexual trauma or
okay,
something?
so
do you have a sexual
does it
trauma?
help you with intimacy?
Yeah.
Or is it just kind of numb you up so you don't have to focus on it?
And is there a sexual trauma that's
Good.
causing some of that?
I think a little all of the above, really. I've been married for 10 years, and it has nothing to do with my husband. But, you know, I want to keep him happy. Sue, I'm not taking my pellets yet, but I should. And I don't have the drive, and I just get anxious when it's time to do that.
Have you talked to him about it?
Yeah.
How's that going?
And?
You know, my husband and I are opposites in a lot of ways. I'm a Christian. We're both Christians, but I'm more of the liberal Christian, and he is right wing all the way, 100%. And, you know, biblically speaking, the wife needs to serve her husband whenever
but sometimes the shop's closed, and that's
Bible.
Okay.
So
the Bible also says
I'm
we should
not
throw
in
rocks
the
at you
mood,
for
so
reading.
to help relax
So,
me, I'll have some of that and maybe a little bit of wine, and then I'm fine. I'm good to go.
So you got to warm up to the Bible study teacher.
Yeah,
that's
to the Bible obligation, the biblical obligation.
I think the Bible's good for guidance, but if you follow it to the rules, we honestly should be turning you in for a stoning right now. Because clearly you can read, clearly you're expressing your opinion, which is frowned upon. And you're on the phone with us without your husband's permission or being present. So you made some bad choices as far as Bible rules go. But I think you guys should get some therapy.
Right.
I think you need to talk.
Well,
because you should never ever feel that way.
Yeah, to do this properly, you'd want to get some trauma therapy for you. You'd want to get some pellets or something like that to get your hormones squared. And we want to sort of...
Testosterone, baby.
We want to get you to sort of dial down some of that Klonopin. Those are pretty good sized doses. I mean, and God knows you could have a seizure on your off day.
Maybe start with that. Like, dial back on the Klonopin first, and then...
Yeah, but then she's going to stop being able to function sexually.
But can that...
She's got to have a come to Jesus moment with him. She's got to sit down and tell him where she's coming from. Because as I can tell you right now, as a man, as much as I like private time, knowing that my loved one is not enjoying themselves or likes doing it would frustrate me more when they're not communicating with me, because eventually he's going to find out. I mean, he's going to notice it. It's going to come up in an argument, and you're going to say something, and he's going to be really hurt from it. We can take it. We, just the facts and tell him where you're at, and then you get some help.
Don't tell him.
And if he can't,
I'm just telling you.
I don't know. I'm just telling you, as a guy, I'd rather know. As a man myself, I'd rather know than not know, because then when you find out, when you talk to therapy or it comes out, you're gonna be like, so for 5 years you were miserable.
Yeah,
I mean, that's hard to fix.
Yeah,
that's hard to fix, and it's a betrayal. Honestly, it is a betrayal.
Yeah,
and it feels like being lied to,
and
also will mess with his self-esteem a lot. Something to think about.
No, you're absolutely right, Tyrus. No, you make great sense. It's just, I just, he's against any type of medicine, really, other than some aspirin.
So he doesn't know you're taking all this Klonopin?
No, he doesn't know.
Yeah. It's solvable. Again, you get the hormones squared and get some trauma therapy. I mean, it's quite solvable. It's not like a terminal problem.
Do it from your end.
Yeah, and you can. I don't. Where do you living? San Diego. Lots of stuff down there. Lots of.
I actually got out of California and moved back home to Indianapolis.
Okay. But again, it's a big city. There's a lot going on there. I mean, you can find, I'm certain you can find the replacement therapies for the hormone, and certainly you can find trauma therapists. I mean, sexual trauma is so common these days. So again, it's about keeping you in your body and present when you're intimate with your husband. And that is, you might learn to like it. You might be something that you're not dreading, but you actually enjoy.
No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, I'm attracted to him, and there are times when I don't take it, but I don't know.
Well,
I appreciate everything that you guys have said. I know you have other callers, and
Julie, I appreciate it. But look, it's again, it's treatable. You should take advantage of it. You should get the hormone squared to feel more like doing this. And you should dial down the Klonopin. Start immediately with that if you possibly can.
And talk to your husband. He might surprise you.
Yeah, right. That's right. Okay, this now is Anthony. Anthony, what's happening?
Hey, Dr. Drew, how you doing?
We're good, man. What's happening with you?
Same on that homeless guy you talked to the other week or something like that. I'm just I'm listening to you and Tyrus, and I'm thinking about that dude that got shot in the back 7 times.
Yeah.
And the thing that blows me away is all of this stuff has always been happening. We just don't see it as much because of videotapes and things like that.
Yeah.
But
excellent point.
My question is, how do we stop it? I mean, everything comes from up above, all the laws and things like that have to be changed. But if people in power don't want to change it, what do we do?
Well, the thing is, there seems to be no real consensus about how to improve things. I mean, it's not like things are getting worse. They are getting better. People are addressing it. But like Tyrus and I believe that one of the things that has to be done is get rid of qualified immunity, because when people say no justice, they don't know what they're even asking for, because the justice system does what it does, and law enforcement officers and politicians get special justice protection. They just do, unless we change the laws. So it's not like the system doesn't operate the way it's supposed to. The way it's supposed to is screwed up. Tyrus, you agree with me?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I also think from a social thing, when you look at generations and stuff, I think that this next generation coming up is going to have to be the ones that change it. I hate sounding negative, but it's very hard to change a mindset, a cultural mindset of groups of people. When you try to say, well, it's wrong, black man was shot in the back and that's not right, and the first answer you're given is, well, he had a criminal record. Just certain people are not going to ever unlearn what they've learned, and they just are set in their ways. And unfortunately, that's my generation, is we are very stubborn in terms of change. And we see that in our political system and our social system. And no one ever says, you know what, I don't know enough about this, or I have a blind spot, or I don't understand. I want to understand. Everyone automatically gets defensive and starts defending themselves, and it's a personal attack. So a change comes gradually. We're in a position now, unlike where before it was civil rights and dignity. Now it's still kind of the same thing, but it's narrowing it down. Now we're focusing on how law enforcement has not changed with the times. There's still a certain cultural or systematic reaction to a certain group of people that is very similar to years before. Like it's been passed down almost from bad cop to paranoid cop. This is how you deal with this particular group of people. This is how you're going to deal with them. Don't take any shit. They do this, shoot them. Don't play around. Like this type of mentality is passed down, and until someone's stopping that, until we get bad policemen out of there, until the unaffected are affected. I always say that, but that's the real thing is like those who are outraged, they have every right to be outraged. You're outraged, and I applaud you for that. I said, but until the ones who aren't outraged start thinking, regardless of how I feel about it, no one should be.
Well, but he's asking
like
how do we fix though? That's the.
There is no quick fix, and that's the point is, it's going to have to come from the next generation, I think. And I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see minds being changed on the other side of this. I see building up walls, barreling down. I don't see any people who maybe there's a difference between someone who has blind spots, who maybe didn't understand or didn't know and wants to learn and wants to help. That seems to be the group that gets beat up the most on both sides. So it's a tough, there's no quick answer. If I had the answers, I'd be a liar. I just don't know. My opinion is that it won't be, it'll be something in the twilight of my lifetime that I'll see that kind of change. I don't think it's going to anytime soon. I just don't see it. I hate to say that, but I just don't see it.
All right, Anthony. Thanks for the call, man.
All right, thanks.
You got it. It's very frustrating.
Is that Anthony? That wasn't Anthony Brown. Was that Anthony Brown?
I don't think so. Was it? Didn't sound like him.
Joshua Barzell was asking.
He
He said Anthony, the homeless guy that was on, but I don't know. There might have been another homeless guy. I don't know. But hi, Anthony.
If it was Anthony, I've been thinking about him a lot lately, trying to figure out how to use him to help tell his story. Okay, let's stay with the Wisconsin story. This is Sean. Sean, what's up, man?
Hey, Dr. Drew. How you doing, Tyrus?
Good, man. What's happening?
Good afternoon, too. I'm a retired policeman, and I tell you, those officers panicked, did everything wrong by letting him get back into the car. He obviously has some responsibility because I think he put his own children in danger. But what should have really happened was one officer, the officer behind the first officer, the primary officer, should have flanked him and prevented him from getting back into the car. That wasn't done.
Right.
And what you had, a thing that just completely escalated into a shooting. Now, he did tell the officers he had a weapon and he was going to get it. And I've heard from other officers that he told they saw another weapon on him. So it's just a horrible situation. And 7 times in the back, I can't defend the guy. I realized that he created the guy who got shot created a situation. However, the officers just wasn't handled right at all, and they fell into a trap and they got tunnel vision, and I think they panicked. It's really unfortunate.
You could see their panic. I saw it, and to me, it looked kind of like their professional demeanors broke down too.
I mean, it's a crazy situation. Not just that.
Yeah.
His family's present. You got to worry about what they're doing.
Never shoot when there's innocent people around, and that was just thrown out the window from the word go. And I just feel so sorry for his kids who witnessed that.
And
it's awful, absolutely awful.
Sean, back to the question: what do we do? What do we do about this? I mean, it always, when I've looked at these stories, I think, oh my God, I always think about qualified immunity, and I always think about the lack of uniformity of police sort of training, and the funding is all over the place, so they can't get what they need for non-lethal weapons, and it's just very, every little town has to field a team.
Yeah, they got to make sure that they use the Terrier correctly. Because I was staged twice in training because I had to get that to be able to testify in court. And Dr. Drew, I tell you, I didn't feel right for the rest of the day. I was completely effed up, and it knocked me on my butt. Now, some people can get through it. He got through it. I don't know how he did it. Maybe it wasn't deployed right or something. But I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. But I'm very, very sorry that the state of our country is where it is right now. It's just awful. It's just absolutely awful. The country is devolving, and the related violence that happened last night. A 17-year-old kid, a wannabe, who was a police miter, shot up a bunch of people. I mean, if you don't why put yourself in a situation if you don't have to?
Right.
Why did he drive forward with the long gun with intent on shooting people? He just shot blindly and he hit 3, killed 2. So it's just awful.
Yeah.
And what is a 17-year-old doing with a long gun?
Yep.
That's the other. That's
great,
the other
great question.
issue.
Well,
His life is over. He killed 2 people and wounded another, and for what?
Do the retired police officers have organizations that could get together and take positions and make recommendations, things like that?
We do, but a lot of guys are really, like myself, are so glad to be off the street.
Yeah.
And not in the business. And
I don't blame you.
It's so volatile. But a lot of guys are just like, hey, Sean, I'm glad I'm off the street. I'm glad I'm not doing this. I'm glad I'm not doing that. And I can't blame them because I'm glad I'm off the street too.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't see a solution, Dr. Drew. I really don't.
Well, listen, I appreciate.
I wish I did.
I appreciate your call, and if you do, please call back because I love to hear it. You're the kind of person, it seems to me, that could come up with ideas. So,
thank you for your service, bro.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Drew. I appreciate it.
And thanks for the service, man. Thank you, Sean. Thanks for the call. Thanks for the service. Thanks for the thoughtfulness. Let's see here. All right. I'm just looking at different calls here. Give me a second. Yeah, I hate the fact that I feel demoralized every day. I feel sort of helpless and beat up.
I thought after the George Floyd incident, I guess I was unrealistic because there was a certain, this grace period of, wow, we're going to see some changes, but then it just turned ugly to where the whole thing became get rid of the police, and that was never the answer.
Right.
You're attacking the wrong group. You're attacking the wrong people. It's like, and then it just and then there was just another story after another story just kept coming up, and then this one hit, and it's like we're just not getting it, and now it's, to the point where we have organized sports that's not playing out of a boycott because of what they feel is injustice. And I think what his great point was, I cannot support him on this. He gave an exact, the police officer, retired police officer that just was brave enough to do that because they don't. They always talk in code. They send DMs. They never come out publicly and say anything for backlash. They always protect each other. For him to come and do this call was really courageous. Number one, because you just don't hear that. And when he gave an example of what should have been done, and they lost control of the situation and they panicked and he just can't defend what happened, that's what is missing. When officers go too far, it's almost like you have to be quiet and just back their play, regardless of what it is. And that's what we're seeing. And for him to come out and say those things, what he said tonight, is really, that's the solution. I mean, it's within itself, police policing police. You know, we've lost control of this situation. We are back up. We know where the guy's at. He's outside. You know, we'll back up. You know, maybe we give ground right now where we call for backup. You know, there's a million things that could have been done. He gave us a great example of what should have been done.
Right.
And then what makes it worse is when this happens, they don't arrest the cop. They don't arrest him, you know, and that's what everyone's like, here we go again, another situation. You know, it's just we go back, and I always, like, one of the things I always do when I get ready to go on TV and stuff in my truck while I'm getting ready, I listen to a lot of Richard Pryor stuff nonstop. That's what I listen to. That's what gets me going. That's my Bible or whatever you want to call it. He was talking about police brutality in California in 1979, you know, when his famous joke about he shot up his wife's car when she was trying to leave him. And the police showed up because they had magnums too, but they don't kill cars. And he went in. Well, he said they don't kill cars.
Yeah.
They kill. And
oh yeah, I remember what he said. That's really funny.
Yes, yeah, and but we're laughing, but it hasn't changed.
I'm gonna tell you what. You tell me if this isn't true. His comedy stands up like great poetry. It's timeless. It will forever, like great music or great poetry. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, it's 100% because he wasn't really telling jokes. He was talking about his life.
He was talking about stories.
That's what makes him funny. You laugh at your wretchedness. You laugh at things that most people would cry over. You know, and there's that great saying, what makes you laugh makes you cry. And the great Richard Pryor was great at making what makes you cry laugh.
But he would invent characters and tell stories. I mean, when you're right, when you talked about his life, it was hysterical. But some of the stuff he came up with, it was, again, things he had grown up around and seen. But man,
and he just talked about what he saw. You know?
Epic poetry, man, epic. All right, I'm going to take a call. I'm not quite sure what this is about. Kenneth, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what's going on?
Doctor. Yes, sir. First, I just want to say, Tyrus, I mean, you seem like an extremely, you know, empathetic, kind, wise individual and an excellent addition to the show. And Dr. Drew, I remember probably 15 years ago, I was watching you on some type of science, like a bunch of smart guys, and you, like, took a test. You probably remember that, but it was like you were definitely the smartest guy there. And, you know, I remember listening to Love Lines, and you would hear someone speak, and within like 30 seconds, you'd be like, so how old were you when something bad happened?
Right.
And you were like, always correct.
Yes.
So
you can feel it and hear it.
I, just as far as what I wanted to throw out there, I guess, is, it seems to me that there is kind of a systemic passive aggression that is in communication. And I think that, you know, mental health is, you know, part of, like, for instance, last night I talked to a guy who was homeless and, you know, all tatted up and told me he was on drugs. And I had a very salient, clear conversation with him. Mm-hmm. And then at a laundromat. And then 5 minutes later, a guy comes in that did not appear to be homeless in any way. And he was out of his mind. I mean, you know, like yelling and just being rude. And I just think that, you know, part of the homeless, part of the opioid and all of that is just, you know, reality is sometimes difficult to navigate without dissociation as a aid, if that makes any sense at all.
A little bit. Without dissociation, particularly you're talking about? You mean without a substance?
And I'm not saying that you dissociate. I'm certainly not saying that you or Tyrus or anyone like that does. I'm just saying that, like, I'm a little nervous because I want to talk to you for a long time.
It's all right.
But, you know, just like, it seems like, you know, there's often in communication, you know, there's, sometimes someone, I'll tell you this one little story and, you know, tell me if this makes sense. And if not, you know, I know you have other calls. So I was working, and this was in LA County, and there was a Hispanic gentleman I was working with and a Caucasian guy. And so I worked with the Hispanic guy a lot, and he told me that at one point, he kind of embraced violence, and now he had a 2-year-old, and he was really trying to live a better life. And so, like, at one point, the Caucasian guy, like, he points at a wall, and he says something about the wall. And I just kind of looked, because the way he said it, right? I mean, because nuance, inflection, context. So I look at, the Hispanic gentleman, and he was like, "You're asleep," is what he said to the guy, and he just kept on walking. Now, I know that's complex and hard to parse through if you weren't there, but does that kind of make sense what I'm saying? Like, there can be rudeness that is difficult to describe.
So is it lack of civility? Is that what you're saying? That people just don't take other people into consideration?
And I'm not saying everyone by any means.
Yeah.
And I'd say on a continuum.
But that's a problem.
But, it's
Everyone judges
it's
the book by the cover,
the rabbit
and
hole.
everyone wants to be clever because they can't say, "I don't want you in this country." They'll just point to a wall and mean the same thing.
Oh,
And
I
clever.
see. So
I
clever,
cleverly
but
said we need to
also,
build a wall. Yeah, but it's like clever,
but
ignorance.
unnecessarily hurtful.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yes, and I mean, I have worked with Christian, which happened to be the Hispanic gentleman's name, all for months happily. We work together awesome. But it's just like I know, and I've worked in construction in LA County for a long time, in the moving business, which is very organized, as far as government or whatever. And so, I've worked with a lot of different individuals from different ethnic backgrounds, and I just know that, sometimes microaggressions, which is kind of what I'm talking about. And sometimes I think the person doing the microaggressions is not conscious of what they're doing.
Right. Yes, I get what you're saying, and what you're talking about is, and it's funny you talked about Tyrus being empathetic before you talked about your problem, and we're talking about empathic failure. So when Adam and I talk about this, but now we're going to talk about you, Kenneth. So sit by here. When Adam and I, Tyrus, talk about these things, we always go, well, aggression, lack of empathy, these sort of extreme reactions, all road leads to narcissism. We all have these
narcissistic tendencies.
Yeah. If you can't appreciate other people's feelings, if you have envy, meaning you got to knock somebody else down because they have something, that's envy. That's narcissism. And if you cannot appreciate another person's point of view, or you don't care about other people's feelings, that is narcissism. And we have a shit ton of that now. Isn't that really it, Tyrus?
Yeah, we have a lot of ignorant geniuses who are.
Everybody thinks they know something. Yes, everybody.
And then what they don't know, they make up, and it's not their fault; it's the other person's fault.
Yeah.
So we're literally.
Well, that is the other thing about this. That's the more recent thing, is that what happens with certain personality disorders, frankly, is that you have bad feelings from trauma or whatever, and you locate those bad feelings out there. Outside your body, everything's out there is the problem, when the real bad feeling is inside.
It's not my fault I can't pay my bills. It's all the immigrants coming in. Right. It's their fault why I don't go to work a 40-hour-a-week job. I stay home and play video games and watch Judge Judy. It's their fault. Did you look for a job? Why would I bother? The immigrants are everywhere taking it.
Right.
No matter what you say to them, they have the answer.
That's
because
right.
Ignorance can connect anything. You cannot argue. They always say, would you rather argue with a genius or an ignorant? Yeah. I'll take genius any day, because if I make a point, he'll recognize it. Ignorant will just connect it another way. He'll just rewire and reboot.
And he'll have notes for you. He'll have notes for how he'll have lots of ideas that you're doing wrong.
Hashtag you made me do it. I'm not responsible for my feelings or reactions. You did it. You made me do it. Look what you did. That's why I did what I did. That's why I hit you. That's why I stole from you. Yep. You made me do that.
Thanks, Kenneth.
Justified.
Whoops. Good call, Kenneth. Here we are. Let's see. Okay, there you are. Jenga.
Isn't that a horror movie?
Jenga. It looks like Jenga. Jenga.
Jane.
What is the name?
Jane.
Jang. There you go.
Jane.
Wow,
That's what
you got
happens
that
when
wrong.
Mardo.
you're screeder.
Hi,
Sky.
Jane. So
Okay.
this up there with
Hi.
it's up there wrong. Sorry about that. So
That's okay.
what's going on?
I'm calling because I have to take a flight and I'm terrified. I just when this COVID started, I took a bad fall and broke my knee and my wrist,
Yeah.
Ooh.
and was at home for a long time recovering. It was very painful and very debilitating. And I'm retired. I'm 61. I'm a widow also.
Sorry to hear that.
And I couldn't drive for a long time, and because of the COVID, it was like I felt so secluded, and I got very depressed.
Oh my.
I'm recovering very well, but in the meantime, my son who lives in Michigan, his wife is very sick with Crohn's disease, and she is going to have
A colostomy? An ileoresection.
colostomy and ileostomy.
Yeah, ileoresection. Yep, that's a
She's
typical
going to have
Crohn's
a
thing.
three-stage.
So how can we help?
surgery,
How
and I'm
can,
the only one that can help.
how can we help tonight?
So I'm going to be flying there on the 1st,
Okay.
and I'm really nervous and scared, and I want to know if I can get a prescription, what I could take for it, because I don't fly.
So you're afraid
I'm alone.
you have fear of flying, period, right?
Is it flying or
Yeah.
COVID?
Yeah, it sounded almost like you were afraid of COVID. Is it the flying that's the problem?
No, I'm not afraid of COVID at all. I personally am not afraid of it at
Okay.
all. I would
Okay.
I
Good for
would prefer
you.
not to wear a mask, but I do. I can fly.
Okay.
I'm really afraid of flying.
So here's the deal. Different people respond to different anti-anxiety medication. Typically, fear of flying settles if you can have some experiences where you do fly without anxiety. So the medication can actually break the cycle of fear and phobia associated with flying. There are, exposure is the main treatment, right? So doing it is the way people get over fear of flying. But there are a bunch of medicines that can work. I mean, are you flying during daytime?
Yes, during the day.
do
I
you
have
have
to
to-
actually. This is another bad part of it. I have to drive
Right.
7 hours to Texas because there are no flights in Arkansas where I live, and I don't like driving either. As a matter of fact,
Do you
It's an
have,
accident.
well, that's
Wow.
you got to do that.
So I
That
have
you're
to drive.
that you're going to do stone cold sober. You're not going to do any medicine
Yeah.
on that part.
Let me just throw this out there. I
think
don't
so.
like
I
flying.
think I'm going to do it, but I'm not real happy about it. But
Go ahead, Tyrus.
drive there.
I don't know if this will help or not, but I don't like flying at all, and I fly all the time. And I always have my headphones on with at least 10,000 songs and a ton of movies, and usually I'm asleep within 7 or 8 minutes of my flight because I relax because I play my music, my headphones on. I don't really interact with anyone. Maybe think about some of your favorite, like getting some headphones and some music and relax yourself a little bit. Maybe if you like classical music or a good old-fashioned sad country song to take your mind off it or remind you of a fun time, something like that, opposed to going the medical route. And the good thing about music is that you can make it cross it over and put it on the car while you're driving. You can sing in the car, and those hours won't seem so long. There's a guy who literally flew, wrestled, drove for 10 years. So.
Oof. But to answer your question,
Well, I feel,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I feel like I can do the drive, but the flying and the wearing a mask, it's like you can't communicate then. And I want to talk to people. I don't want to isolate myself. I don't really like that part.
How long is the
Because
how
you
long
can't
is the
even see a
flight?
person's expression
How long is the flight?
It's under 3 hours
Okay.
to Michigan.
And do you have to drive again when you get there?
No, my son is going to pick me up
All
at
right.
the
So
airport.
things
there.
like Xanax can really help a lot. They're very short acting. It may last as much as 4 or 5 hours, but it will largely have worn off, and you can sort of take it before you get on the plane. And then, of course, you have another half hour, an hour getting your luggage, that sort of thing. So that can be very effective. I like the fact that you look to other people as a way of making yourself feel better. Regulating your emotions in what's called an intersubjective context is a very evolved thing to do. So I like that you would like to do that, but you feel you can't because of the mask. So it's all good. I mean, you have all the facilities. You know, you're going to make the drive. You're going to tolerate the mask. It's only a 3-hour flight. But if you want to call your doctor for something like a Xanax, we doctors do prescribe that a lot, because it's a really common thing that people call for. So hang on here. I had a good call. I want to get it back. Where'd it go? Keely? Oh, there she is.
I got time for one more, Doc, and then I got dinner plans before the cane hits.
Oh, she took off.
Well,
Is the cane really coming in right now?
No, but dinner with the wife is.
That cane. Got it. Got it. We have a bunch of calls here, guys, and I'm not going to be able to get to all of them, and I apologize.
You're not going to, and I'm not
Susan,
suggesting you do.
Susan. I got to go to the stream for a second and see what we're doing there to make sure this.
Cameras.
Yep, to see if we've got anything there before
we had a caller on for a long time.
Because the callers we have remaining are very complicated, and they will take quite some time to answer. And Tyrus has got to go. Here, Monica Rikis, her husband sat next to you, Tyrus, a couple of years ago. He said your shoulders were so big you couldn't fit in the seat. He felt bad for you. That's another thing about flying for you. You can't.
Kelly.
You don't fit.
Was it Kelly that you wanted?
Well, my shoulders don't have to
She's back.
fit. So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Kelly's back now. This is good. So here we go. I'm switching again, Susan.
Oh, you want to go back? Okay. Thank you.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Dr. Drew. How are you?
I am good. Your call caught my attention, so go ahead.
I'm really surprised that you did that. I hung up because I was like, probably useless, but I'm surprised. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm serious. Okay, so you made a comment about people who experience envy kind of have a desire to do ill, and I don't know if that's exactly what you said.
Yeah. So what I said was...
Is that what you said?
What I said was that so many problems, if you want to point at any problem today, you'll find that all roads ultimately lead to narcissism. That there's just so much narcissistic injury and so much narcissism afoot in our country that you usually find that lurking behind any name the unpleasant thing, and you find it there. And I said the big problem with narcissism is not that people are self-preoccupied or anything like that. That there is some of that in narcissism. Mm-hmm. But the big thing is empathic failure, so no appreciation for your feelings, and envy.
Okay.
And envy and jealousy, the way I define it, differ in the sense that jealous is, I like that tank that Tyrus has. I'm going to work hard to get that one day, and I'm going to be like him and get that. Look, I could have a tank too one day, and I hate that he has it, but it makes me feel so jealous. Envy is, Tyrus has that tank. I'm going to throw a brick through it. He pisses me off.
Yep.
I don't like Tyrus.
Yep.
That's envy.
Can I tell you how I define those two terms?
Sure.
Okay, I think that jealousy is I'm afraid I'm going to lose something. Like I'm a girlfriend and I have a boyfriend and there's another girl and she's talking to him and I'm jealous because I think I'm going to lose him if he talks to her. So to me, that's jealousy. Whereas envy, I feel is more like, gee, I really wish I had that. I'm envious of you. I don't hate you for it, but I'm envious that you have that and I don't. And envy motivates me, whereas jealousy to me feels more like I'm going to lose something.
I think that's a really interesting way to break it down, and you're not wrong in any technical sense. But there's another version where I see that girl with the boyfriend. Let's use the relationship paradigm again. I'm going to get rid of her so I can get that. I can get that guy. Getting rid of her part. The cutting somebody else down is the part where. And if you look at like biblical, things the Bible tells us to do, they'll always say envy is the worst emotion, and that's really what they're talking about. The fact that envy induces us to want to destroy somebody else merely because we want what they have.
The movie Seven. What was the worst
Okay.
sin?
I think jealousy
Envy.
does that more so, but okay.
Well, and to your point, there some people call that jealousy. I'm not stuck to my my definitions, but I think in a his sort of historical sense, envy is one of the the venal the deadly sins. They don't say
I
jealousy
kinda
so
get-
much,
It's one of the
but they
things
do
that-
say thou shalt not
Jealousy, right.
covet thy neighbor's
Wait.
whatever, which is some of the same stuff.
right.
It's
You
all
know,
it's all
well,
related.
Coveting,
When you look
coveting,
at jealousy,
coveting and envy
you have-
seem the same to me, but not jealousy.
Okay.
But look, Dr. Drew, I've listened to you my whole life, from Love Lines to I follow you in all facets, and I appreciate you to death. And we've talked a couple times. You may not remember, but I think you're amazing.
Thank you,
for
Kelly.
doing what you do.
That's very kind of you. Thank you so
I
much.
want to know what Tyrus thinks about it.
All right, we're gonna get-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll let Tyrus finish up. Go ahead, Tyrus.
Yeah. When I hear her talk about jealousy in terms of, I don't, she's gonna steal my boyfriend. I think that's more of an insecure thing than opposed like jealousy. Jealousy is envy with like a little bit of insecurity, and like I want that, and it could be something positive. Envy is straight up aggressive. It's
typically
laced in to where the point where you want what they have so much, you will destroy what they have if you can't have it.
Exactly.
And that's pretty much the basis of every horror movie where somebody wants what they have. And in our society, we made them into haters. Oh, he's a hater. I had a great night on wrestling. I won my match, and a guy's mad because he's not he can't wrestle or whatever. And you suck. Your match was terrible. I hated it, but he watched it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It spirals and it grows, and envy can lead to horrible acts. We see it on social media all the time.
That's right.
It's
And
nothing but straight
listen,
up envy.
scapegoating is about envy ultimately.
Yeah. Narcissism.
Yeah.
And narcissists envy a lot.
Yes, they do. And we could use it. You could use any term you want. I think we're being pretty clear about the emotional process we're talking about. The need to tear somebody else down because they do or have qualities that you want or like. And it makes you feel so diminished that you have to bring the other person down to you. So you can't feel that diminishment. You just bring the other person down. And that's a horrible human emotion. So we're all a little narcissistic these days. And just keep an eye out for envy or whatever you want to call it. Counter it wherever you find it. It is the lowest form of human behavior, one of the low ones. Tyrus, go get ready for dinner.
Love you, Tyrus.
We love
All
you.
right.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you,
being
guys.
here
You
as
guys are the
always.
best.
And
Yes, sir.
I'll let you go. Thank you,
And,
Tyrus.
I'll let you know how we make out with the storm.
Please keep us posted. I'm gonna give a little quick coronavirus update to our viewers here that the numbers are looking amazing. I mean, really, wherever you go, what shall we say? Health is breaking out. That the virus, the summer surge is clearly under control now, and we can all hopefully get it beneath the levels they were in April, May, and June by just wearing our damn masks. I mean, clearly that's the thing that's making all the difference right now, or social distancing, whatever it might be. But I think we're learning to live with this virus, as I've been saying. And boy, LA County is way down, yet they're still threatening us. But fine, it's going to keep getting better, and we'll be around. Susan, are we in tomorrow? I believe we are. Let's see. Got anything special for tomorrow? Nothing special for tomorrow.
But we do have Dr. So. I didn't put her banner up. You keep talking.
Dr. Deborah So is coming in on Friday. That's going to be a really interesting conversation. She's a gender and sex biologist, academic who was, you may have heard her on the Joe Rogan show, and she was sort of semi-canceled for talking about science. And scientists have to talk about science. We have to do it in such a way that it doesn't hurt people, and I will frame that argument, the conversation that way. And she and I don't agree on everything, but I think we have to look at the data, look at the facts. Humans harm each other when they get too deep in ideology and disconnect from reality. That will be on Friday.
Yeah,
so
I didn't set up the banner. Sorry, everyone.
Okay. Did I see one? Did it come up yet? I didn't see it.
I didn't set
All
it
right,
up.
that's fine. That'll be on Friday, but we will try to come
We
by.
had to deal with Andy Dick beforehand, and I didn't have enough time.
Yes, that was a interesting thing.
Don't forget to support
Eric, you
our
heard her
friends.
on Rogan. It was a good conversation. She caught my eye, Eric, and that's why I went to go talk to her some more. There's some things they got wrong that I wanted to kind of clarify and get some more information on. Also, Kari wanted to know if Dr. Ruth is still alive. She certainly is. She lives up near the, what do they call it? Way up in the Upper West Side, the Cloisters in the Upper West Side, and she is as lovely as ever.
Are we going to let the callers go? Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, sorry, callers. I already jumped off that system.
Okay.
And if those of you I did not get to, I apologize. And yep, the hurricane is headed east Texas, so prayers for everybody out there.
I hope they stay safe over there.
I'm sure. I'm feeling things are going to go better than the press is leading you to believe. Again, the boy called wolf is the myth for the time. Okay. New roof on the house this week. Anthony Brown. That's my Anthony Brown.
So that was Anthony.
Was Anthony? That was you, I guess, that called in. I didn't recognize your voice.
He's like, I'm the homeless guy that called. I'm like,
well, I knew you're the homeless guy.
We've had other homeless guys call.
But Anthony, know that I'm thinking about you a lot, and so I'm gonna get you, man. We're gonna do something out there. It's just the world has been so sketchy lately. I have not been able to focus, but there will be opportunities, I'm sure. In my head, I want to get you together with Ben Carson if I possibly can. So, Anthony, thank you for hanging in with us and being patient. And I'm sorry I didn't call you out.
No,
when
it was
you. Called
you.
in. Yeah.
Joshua Barzell noticed it though. He's a regular here.
And Nancy, you heard about us from Sloan Bella. Yes, she did lose her son, and I want to call. I was afraid to call. It was so awful. She, 2 sons now, but please give her our regards. And I think about her all the time, and I noticed she's sort of back out there again. Seems more herself, which is great. So I was thinking about calling her. So, okay, everybody, do I use sugar substitutes? I try not to. I'll occasionally use aspartame, something like that, but I try not to. I try to stay away from that stuff if I can, and I find I don't really need it, which is what's interesting. The thing that I do use certain appetite suppressants like cheese and heavy cream. That's helpful for me too. Everybody, thank you, Eric, for the compliment there. According to Dr. Brett Weinstein, we should assume COVID will knock off 20 years of our lives. No. We should assume COVID will knock off 20 years of our lives in contracted. I don't know what you mean by in contracted. No, that does not make sense at all. I mean, the probability of dying under the age of 35 is 0.0001. So it's not likely to cut anything off anybody's life if you're young. Anyway, let's wrap this up. I've got to go do something. We'll be in here tomorrow, and then again, Dr. Deborah So on Friday. And we thank you for your calls. Thank you for your participation, and we'll see you tomorrow. We've all been very focused on how to stay healthy these days, but we've not been talking about hydration. If you get coronavirus, flu, or even experience allergies, cold, a variety of everyday ailments, they all need hydration. And that's why it's a perfect time to welcome our friends at Hydrolite back. This is a great product. You all know I've talked about it for a long time. This was the hydration product I wanted to invent, and they got it there before me. Now remember, dehydration can make you feel sick, even a slight amount, and none of us need that anxiety right now, so stay well hydrated. I am thrilled to welcome our good friends at Hydrolite back to the show. Longtime fans remember my obsession with Hydrolite, which is literally the best hydration product I have found. I'm even more excited to introduce their brand new single-serve powder sticks. Simply pour 1 powder stick into a glass of water. They recommend 7 ounces. The powder dissolves instantly and creates the perfect balance of sodium, glucose, and water to deliver up to 4 times the electrolytes of your typical sports drink. And think about it. You can take this anywhere. You should have it on hand to just pour it into water, and you have a real significant hydration product. The other great news about Hydrolite, the powder sticks, they are 100% natural, no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, and they are available in flavors like orange and lemonade, and they taste great. Hydration is crucial. Hydrolite is the fastest and easiest way to stay ahead of it. And you can find Hydrolite powder sticks in the digestive aisle at Walgreens or Amazon, or simply just go to my website, drdrew.com/Hydrolite. Again, that is drdrew.com/HYDRALYTE. You see it spelled here. There it is. And you enter the code DRDREW18 to save 30% off your order. Forget the runs on toilet paper. There should be runs on this. This is doing much more for your health Then toilet paper. So go get some, have it on hand. If anybody in your family gets sick, you need to keep them hydrated, and that's how you do it.